Hi, everybody. Here we are with the digital download and got a number of exciting things to talk about. I do need to say that today's been brought by our friends at Restream.io. Mike, do you want to just introduce yourself?
Hey, everybody. I'm Mike Garrison, Values-Based Mindset and DLA Ignite. And today I'm talking about what you're not being told as an accounting firm on how to be successful.
Lenwood, what are you doing today?
Hello, I'm Lenwood Ross, founder and CEO of Accelerate. We're building digital culture at scale for enterprises, and we work with large teams. Today, I'm going to talk about what do you do if you find a nestling bird?
Oh, wow. That sounds interesting. So hi to Nick. Good to see you. Adam.
Hi, everyone. I'm Adam Gray. I'm Tim's business partner at DLA Ignite. And I'm going to recap on a couple of things that I've learned during the week. One of them is the ongoing challenge of content creation for people.
And Thomas.
Hello, everybody. I'm Thomas Ross. I'm the founder of Social Selling HQ. And today I'm going to be talking about a new report from Gartner that talks about virtual or digital selling and the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And I'm going to, if there's time, I'm going to talk about a Gartner report, and I'm going to talk about a hack. And as people know, I'm not a big fan of hacks, but we're going to talk about a hack today as well that could enable you to support your prospecting. So, Lenwood.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to go ahead? And by the way, whoever I don't know from the LinkedIn user said cool accents. Thank you very much. It's only when Mike speaks that we go back to the non-British.
Okay. So this week, my 4-year-old daughter found a nestling bird right near our play set. And I immediately thought that the bird was dead. So I, get away from the dead bird. And she recognized that the bird was actually still alive. And so once she realized the bird was still alive, then I had to go on the internet and figure out what you do if you find a small bird. That's what we did. And what you do is you get a shoebox and you poke some holes in it, and you create like a nest inside, and you pick up the bird with some gloves on your hands, and you put it in there, and then you need to find a quiet, dark place in your house. You take a heating pad, put it on the lowest setting, put it halfway underneath that shoebox, and now you've got a little incubator. Now, what you have to do then is immediately call a wildlife rehabilitation center. Yes, I did all this this week. This is my digital download. If we didn't have the internet, I would not have known what to do. This is what the B2B buyers are doing out there, right? They have a problem. They go on social media, or they go on the internet, and they figure out what to do. So anyway, we then this was about 6 p.m. at night that we found this bird. So we had to keep the bird overnight, and then the next day we rushed it to the Raptor Trust, which was a place where you could take birds that you found. And there, we rushed it to like the emergency room for nestling birds. And we found out that we had found a robin. And today we'll call to find out how the bird that we saved is doing. And my daughter will be able to check up on it. And then later we'll be able to go back.
I think that's the bird sanctuary on the
phone. But yeah, so it was a really great experience for my daughters and for me. when I saw that bird, I thought that the bird was like a white color. So, I'm thinking of like the frozen turkey or frozen chicken. So that's why I thought, the bird was dead until we got it in the box and, it got warm. And then I saw the body color change. I realized that my daughter was right. The bird was just cold. But not being in its nest anymore and not having access to the mother, needed to get to the hospital quickly. So that's my digital download.
Thanks, Lenwood. And will you check back on us and let me know if the because we don't want to get any birds. We don't want to harm any birds.
Yeah, well, I will let you know.
No birds were harmed in the making of this video.
That's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
No, in fact, a bird was saved. And so we are looking forward to following up on the bird, and of course we'll be able to go out to the Raptor Trust and visit the bird.
Fantastic, and thanks to Matt for being out there. Absolutely, Lenwood. We need to check up on the bird. It's important. Thomas. So what have you been doing this week? What have you been reading this week?
Well, amongst just working with clients as we all do every week. But
can I just butt in a moment? Have you named the bird, Lenwood?
We didn't name the bird.
Right. Okay. So
I didn't anyway. I'll ask my daughters if they did.
Right. Thomas, sorry.
Well, firstly, I'd like to say that you need to name the bird. That's a gimme. That has to happen. So just for your daughter's sake, I think, right?
Yeah.
Although then she's going to want to take it home, and that's a different conversation. Anyway, in any case, so this week we did what we always do. We're supporting our clients with respect to ongoing social sales training and digital transformation sessions. So that's great. But what was really interesting, and I always look forward to these, was there was a new report out by Gartner. And the title of the report was really exciting because it was a strategic virtual selling for 2021. And I thought,
wow.
That must be the answer to all of our problems solved.
I've been waiting for this, and it's arrived, and with great excitement, I began my read, which of course was broken up by about 18 events along the way, so it took a lot longer than it should have, but nonetheless, it did occur. And much to my disappointment, it didn't really cover and say what I expected it to say.
Interesting.
So what were you expecting it to say, Thomas? Yeah. What were you expecting?
So this is a report from Gartner on virtual selling.
Yes, and Gartner has put out some great content recently. My favorite was one on actual what they call buyer enablement.
Yes.
And I really, really appreciated and took that one to heart because it's something that we've been talking about for a while. So I was expecting, much the same with this content. And what it really did is actually made a situation that we're all familiar with worse. So it used a title that we're all laughing at some of the comments coming from the audience, by the way. But it really made worse a situation that exists with many companies who don't know what social selling and virtual selling is. Mm-hmm. And the Gartner report not only did not answer that question, it made it much worse.
No.
And while there were a couple of stats in there of interest, they're lost in the fact that this report did not talk about virtual or social selling in the least.
What did it describe as virtual selling then?
Well, good question, Tim. What I would describe as social selling is the opportunity of leveraging social media for the purpose of connecting, engaging, and developing prospects.
Commercial interaction, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the word social media. In fact, let me rephrase that. The word social media never shows up once in the entire report.
Huh?
Are you going, Thomas? Are you going like I did last week on HubSpot? Are you doing the same thing?
How do you mean?
Remember I was slagging that HubSpot article?
Oh yeah. Yes, I guess so. I guess so. So, yeah, I was greatly disappointed. And what's worse about it is many people who do look forward to Gartner reports, who don't know the difference, are going to read that report and be worse off than they were before they read it.
Oh, that's no good.
Right, and that's the challenge, and that's the problem, and that's what we deal with. So here I was hoping for something that would help us, the Gartner positioning, the importance of this. Luckily, there are many other reports out there, whether they be from McKinsey or Forrester or many others, that actually speak to what we do and show the stats and the data that prove out everything we do. But at the end of the day, it's important for people to realize that if you really want to understand social selling and virtual selling, don't read that report.
Yeah. And
So
it may be that they're suffering from a little bit of legacy mindset and not actually engaging. They're not actually doing social. They're not doing it like we use social selling for our own commercial interactions, right, on a day-to-day basis, and those guys, they're not doing that. They're just
I think what you're trying to say is that we walk the walk, right?
Yeah.
And Gartner's just trying to talk the talk, and they're not doing a particularly good job of it, at least with respect to that.
But is that just Gartner? Tim and I had an interaction in the early days of this company. We had an interaction with one of the large, who shall remain nameless, one of the very large global, very well regarded consultancies. And we said to them, this is what you need to be selling to your clients, and here's why. And they said, we are company X. We know everything there is to know about this. And we said, well, we'll analyze where you're at. So who are the top 10 people in your company that are exponents of brilliance at this? And they gave us a list of these people, many of whom hadn't even bothered to upload a profile photo onto their LinkedIn profiles. The one that they held up to be the high watermark hadn't actually shared any original content ever on their profile, had merely reshared everybody else's. So needless to say, when we spoke to them again, the conversation was one of, how can you be telling people that you can help them with this when clearly you have no ideas? And that's one of the high watermark companies. So in your experience, Thomas, which companies are actually doing a good job at this? Because I can't find them anywhere.
Which companies with respect to reports on digital and social
selling? So which companies are walking the walk rather than just doing reports which state the obvious, really?
Our clients.
Well, yeah, I'd have to, if that's the line in the sand, the reports versus walking the walk, I'm not aware of any. I'm going to agree with you on that, Adam. There's some good reports, there's some good information, but are they walking the walk?
So I've seen that there's one about. I agree with Nick actually. Oh, hold on. I agree with Nick that it's frightening. So I don't know who left the last message. So there is one on buyer enablement, which is actually about it's called Win More B2B Sales Deals, and I actually think it's called buyer enablement. And one of the things that I really like about it is, and I'm just bringing it up here on one of the things is that they talk about in the document is that only the salesperson today only spends 17% of the time that the buyer spends in terms of doing the research and doing what they're doing in terms of buying. So only 17% of the time is spent with salespeople. Now, if you've got a short list of 5 or 3, then the amount of time as a salesperson that you're going to spend doing your discovery and doing all the things that you need to do is minute.
Yeah.
83% of the time is not being spent with you or your competitors. It's off doing your own research.
Yeah.
And yet we focus on the 2% of the time that we get in front of the client as if that's going to be pivotal. which clearly it isn't. Yeah.
But the other thing in that report, in that report, they also have a diagram, which is that they see as the process that buyers walk through.
In fact, I printed that out to discuss exactly that.
Yes. So the first one is problem identification. Then they move to, this is a buyer, solution exploration. Then they move to requirements building and then supplier selection. So first and foremost, we need to do something. Then what's out there to solve the problem? Then what exactly do we need to do to purchase? And then does this do what we want it to do? And all the way through the process, there's a validation, which is we think we know the right answer, but we need to be sure. And also consensus creation, which is we need to get everybody on board in the organization. And as we know with buyer teams, it can be anything between 10, 100 people that are part of the buying process. Just let Lenwood's back. Just let him back in. So the thing is that so that's all really interesting, Tim. Problem identification, solution exploration, requirements building. But if you think about content, most people's content, they're already talking about the solution. Here is my product, here is my solution. But that's not where buyers are. Buyers are actually starting looking at the problem identification.
But I wanted to flag that. So that's the bit that I've drawn a circle round, saying, really, what is the problem? And I think that the challenge is that, you go to the doctor, you've identified that you have a stomach upset, you go to the doctor, and at one end of the scale it could be that you've eaten something that's disagreed with you, and at the other end of the scale is you've got a perforated ulcer, and actually is any one of a million things in between, and you don't know what the problem is. And I think a lot of the challenge is that organizations recognize that the symptoms, but they have no idea what the problem is. So we haven't got enough leads. Okay, well, what we need to do, Tim, you need to get more emails out there to generate more leads, or you need to make more cold calls. So you need to, and actually it's not addressing the fundamental problem. The fundamental problem is that the things you're doing, the cold calling, the sales process, the blue sheets or whatever methodology you use when you're having a conversation, the marketing automation, the journey mapping, the campaigns, you're doing those things really, really, really well already, but they're not the things that you should be doing anymore. It's like, I need to make sure that I can do a faster journey from my house to the station. Therefore, I've decided I'm going to get my very own farrier outside to put new shoes on my horse. Well, actually, that isn't the solution to the problem anymore. That's old thinking applied to a problem that's moved on, isn't it?
So there's a couple of things coming in from the audience. One is 80% of prospects will self-research. And one question, I think this is maybe for you, Adam, which is, do you play the acoustic guitar?
No. No, I buy the acoustic guitar, but thank you for the question.
Yeah, he buys them. The answer is he buys them. He just doesn't play them. And thanks from Robert in have to clearly know the problem in terms of solving it. And also the problem started with current leadership. The emperor has no clothes.
Yeah.
That's a very astute comment, isn't it?
It's the number one problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's true of digital transformation. That's true of social selling, digital selling. It's true of everything that we work on. If it doesn't start there,
thanks, Gert.
Hi, Gert.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting comment. I had a conversation with a friend of mine who she advises Fortune 500 boards. And I asked her, do these boards have anyone on them that can hold senior leadership accountable on digital? And she said, no. There's just a lack of knowledge at that board level and C level for the board to even hold the C level accountable. So if the CMO is going in and saying we need to do X, Y, and Z, there's really no one on the board who can challenge it.
It's interesting you said that, Linwood. My article today is from Accounting Today, and it's obviously aimed at accountants, but like everything we've talked about so far today is exemplified, because you would look on the surface of this and you go, wow, this thing's got all the traditional parts of a traditional marketing plan. But my phrase that pays is stop trying to put a square peg in a round hole. And when you look at digital right now, everyone still has an analog mindset. And that's the problem.
And what do you mean by that?
So I'll read one, right? So this is one of the key sentences in here. The ability to remain competitive in 2020 is depending upon an approach that engages your target audience in tailored and unique ways, either pushing them through a qualification process or grooming unqualified leads. Digital, which is social, unless you're doing cold calling at scale called emailing, right? Digital is about being social, and social is not about being pushing. Otherwise, you're like that terrible person at the Chamber of Commerce mixer that hands out a business card to everyone else, and the second that person leaves, they throw them away because they're a tool. And so, when I'm talking to professional services firms, my word is, do you feel like what you're being asked to do to grow your business the new way remotely resembles anything you A, want to do, B, believe is how you want to be perceived in the marketplace, and C, are even remotely comfortable being? And the answer is no. Professional service firms don't usually have people with a sales person title. They don't have VPs of sales, right? They usually have marketing directors, but those people are different. And it's just sad for me to see that everyone is approaching this the wrong way. And that's why you have that horrible chart, Adam. Like, you have this horrible chart with all these different things, and nothing on that chart, nothing on that will help a buying team feel comfortable about this process, because it's too freaking complicated. Like, it starts like this. How did you build your business before digital? How'd you do it before COVID? Well, if you were a transactional, nasty company that blows through your employees and treats people badly and just is there to annoy me on Facebook, well, guess what? Just keep doing that. Best of luck, right? But if you are an organization, really the only ones we're really talking to, if you're an organization that values your team, if you're an organization that cares about your clients, and you're an organization that wants to have a reputation of people wanting to be with you, you can't bring analog awful to digital excellence. Don't do the terrible things that you hate in the buying process. Do the things you love. That's what I learned from Adam and Tim.
So Mike, we've Gary basically commented on your the business card guy at the let's get rid of that one, and just some feedback, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, so everything's complicated, but I think fundamentally, especially for professional services firms, but I would expand it to conglomerates that are on multiple continents. If you are getting just baffled by the bullshit, if you've got all of this crazy detail stuff going on, you want to work with a company, perhaps ours, that's going to come to you and say, hey, it's not easy, but it's simple. It's about your mindset.
That's the key thing. Look what Tim's just put up. Simple works. That's the most insightful comment. And you, Mike, are and I mean this in the nicest way, you're an old-fashioned kind of guy. Networking, face-to-face meetings, pressing palms, getting to know people. What does social do? It enables you to do that with greater efficiency and greater while still being human. And yes. I think that the fundamental mistake that people make is that they want to buy a tool that absolves them from having to do any work. Social is you still got to do loads of work, like you used to have to get up early and go to the Chamber of Commerce breakfast meetings and hand out business cards to people. Now you've got to do that in a social digital world. But the whole point is that it brings people closer together. You get to have a weekly or a daily conversation with a much larger number of people, and you can see who's resonating with today's message, and then you can have a conversation with them in much the same way as you go to the Chamber of Commerce event every week or every month. Some people sidle up to you and say, "Hi, Mike, what's happened since we were last together?" And actually, that's what being human is about, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've got a question that's come in, which I'm interested in. Is this a generational issue? Being as we're not all in our 20s. So I just so everybody knows, I'm going to have to admit this. I grew up in a world without the internet.
That's
there were no mobile
that's hard to
phones
believe.
when I grew up. Okay, and I need to come clean to everybody.
You
And
feel better? You feel better?
Did they have CD players in your world?
No.
CD,
Tim and I are from the 8-track.
Sorry, I'm being facetious. I think that there is. I think I don't. Well, sometimes I think it's a generational, and sometimes it's not. Here I am, just accelerating to be nearly 56, and I know something about social media.
Yeah,
It's not a generational issue. It has nothing to do with it.
No, I agree with that.
but
Hold on.
it does point to an issue though that is maybe the bigger challenge, which is why people are looking at tools, which is they don't know how to interact, right? So they didn't know how to interact when they went in person.
But we've always done that. We've always, like, the human race has always looked to leverage tools. We've always looked for the next thing. So it's not I actually had a conversation. I'm going to have a podcast coming out in about 2 weeks with a professor of psychology at Temple University discussing whether it's personality, whether it's generational, and it's actually a function of your frontal cortex. How you have trained your mind to think is actually what determines it. And I can look at examples of people that think with a different mindset, that are intentional about what they're doing. And really it comes down to, can you delay gratification? Right? If you could delay gratification.
So Leon's made a great point about, we had social media when we were growing up. It's called going outside and talking to people.
Playground.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
It's not generational.
That's
mindset.
right.
But isn't that the point though? You know, young people, they get the apps and stuff, and they're very comfortable with the swiping left and right and all that kind of thing, and they're very comfortable with holding up their phone and taking a selfie and promoting themselves. But old people, by which I mean people like us on the call, are comfortable having conversations with people. And actually, the people that are in the sweet spot of that Venn diagram are not old people that are scared of apps, and not young people that are comfortable with apps but can't network, but the crossover bit, the bit where they can adapt and learn the new techniques if they're older, or they're younger and they've had some experience of building relationships face to face in the business context. And those people, the sweet spot of that Venn diagram, that's where the rock stars come from. Those are the people that make their quota just by having loads of conversations. I know a client that I'm working with. One of the people, they post something, they get 200 likes on it. You know, they're going to exceed their quota by a massive amount this year because people just want to talk to them. And equally, there are other people that we know that post stuff, they get zero traction, people get lots of traction and they don't know what to do with it.
And I think that's really important, which is this: we have this situation where people think that what you need to do on LinkedIn is to have a CV, write about your company. And in fact, we all know that buyers don't like that because we don't like it as buyers. But if you're human, people will actually walk towards you and have conversations.
Yeah. It's
and
about
that transformation.
It's really about training your brain. You know, it's always been this way. If you look at the evolution of civilization, you know, fire, wheel, you know, vaccines, all these different
Facebook.
These have progressed. How old is Mike? 53 in a week. Anyways.
Surely not. Surely not.
So can I pick up some of these comments from so Nick, thank you. Build an audience and the sales will come. The clue is in the name. Social media. Be social.
Yeah.
And there's another one that that he came up with, which is I like this. No, that's not him. This one here. The internet. What witchcraft is this?
So I got one quick thing here.
But
Right?
I want to bring up a question, everybody, because
Right.
I think this is
Right.
interesting. You know, in the year and a bit now that it's been when we've all been living with COVID and the pandemic, we've seen some radical changes in industry and in business, and everybody has now become digital, or so they say. But yet, and you correct me if I'm wrong. The word social and what we're talking about, but now at the corporate level and with businesses in every industry, have their sales teams and have their marketing teams outside of pumping out more corporate content and in some cases some better content, but on the whole, have their sales teams learned how to leverage digital and social selling in your experience? Because for me, I have not seen a big change in sales. I've seen a big change in the gravitation towards Zoom and Slack and a lot of other digital tools and the integration and even a lot of language around customer experience and user experience. But when it comes to sales, I have not seen that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I've read books on virtual selling, and basically what they're saying is that what you need to do is make cold calls and send emails virtually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what the big problem is? The big problem is our clients, our prospects, your prospects and clients, when they hear sales, they hear predator. They hear somebody that's there to take and kill. And that's, if you were going to ask me, what is the real secret? The real secret is, do you actually know how to leverage a network to help other people other than yourself? Because that's how it worked before social media. Like, people would be in these chamber of commerce mixers and they'd be in these networking groups. And we always knew the dude that was the relationship assassin, that girl that walked into the room and decided that everyone there was nothing other than a prospect. And they were there to get your insurance policy. They're there to get your copier sale. Those people never made it because they were not wired. They needed to go cold call, email, and do horrible advertising. If you have a mindset of giving and if you have a system to give, mine's already working, Tim. Like, you have to have a system and a mindset of giving, because that's what makes you not a predator. Don't be a predator.
Thanks, Robert, and thanks for coming and supporting us again this week. Appreciate it. I got a question for you. It's way back here. Just wanted to shout out to Rob. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
We love you.
Check out Gary's. Look at what Gary said just now.
Terrifying.
This one.
No, not that one.
I'm
Course.
trying to find another one.
I took a virtual selling course this week, and it focused mostly on being more visible. Was it like Dan?
It's just a virtual taker. It's just everything out there other than what a lot of what we're doing is about how do I go get things from other people? And that's not social.
Yeah. It's the,
sorry, I don't know, because what happens on Restream, if I'm not connected to you on LinkedIn, it doesn't come up with your name. So I'm sorry, but so send me a connection request and say I'm the guy that I'm not connected to you. So just so I know who you are. But I like this: pay it forward, be authentic, be patient, and be kind. Social action. There's a lot of people that say that social selling takes a long time. It doesn't. But let's not go there for a moment. I totally agree with you that if you are authentic and you believe in what you're doing, then that will be it's what will make you.
Put up Chris's one, because that's huge. Being a trusted advisor.
Hi,
Chris Gill.
Hello, mate.
Hi, Chris. Hi, guys. Great chat for me. Social is enabling me to come across as a trusted advisor, teaching on network. Absolutely, yeah.
Adam, that's your duty of care right there.
Yeah. It's and the thing is that social, it's up 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You don't know who's looking at it. So you can
Yeah.
sit there and go, I'm not interesting. Nobody's interested. As someone said to me today, I'm average. Nobody cares what I've got to say. Rubbish.
That's
People
right.
are checking you out all the time. And what they want to know is, are you going to be the person that's going to help me in this project? Are you going to be that person? And, if you're just going to sit there and say, I made target 5 times out of the last 4 years, and once I get my teeth into you, either I'm going to die or my client's going to die, then you may not find that you're getting the business.
That's strange.
But isn't that the problem with today's sales forces, guys? That's where I was going. That has not really changed, right?
Exactly.
And Gary said it was 4 hours of his life, that virtual selling course.
Oh,
And only 3 slides. Yeah.
Well, although 4 hours, 3 slides doesn't seem like very good value for money. What I would say is that I'd rather 4 hours and 3 slides than 4 hours and 403 slides. It should be often better. But interestingly,
thanks, Rob. Strike a pose, is it? Sorry.
Yeah, I had an interchange with somebody earlier this week that had just been, and I need to be careful how I phrase this. They had bought from somebody that were advertising to them how to build an email marketing list course, and they bought this because the person that was doing it was ostensibly.
Hi, Gary. Thanks.
Thanks
for coming.
Like them, so they had come from the same background, were in the same industry, and was facing the same challenges. And this guy went on a course, cost him £500 as a.
So that's what $650.
Yeah, at an early bird rate, and it was basically a series of pre-recorded videos. And this person said, and this was apropos a post that I did a couple of days ago about the fact that email marketing is like old style and you can't expect it to work because all of them are on that decline down, and you get on a better bit of software and it just kind of changes the trajectory a little bit or pushes the 0 date out a little bit. And he said, have I wasted my money? And I said, well, I'm afraid you have. And part of that is because if you've got to sell people the idea of getting on your database. So do you want to sell people to get on your database, or do you want to sell them your product that you make money on? Because that's the choice you need to make. And the second thing is, if it worked, then you would have countless case studies of this working, and you haven't. This is what used to work. This is not what works today. And that doesn't mean that every single person that goes on the course will fail. It doesn't mean that everybody with a database won't get some yield from the database. But what it does mean is that in 2021, most people, almost everybody, won't, because we all behave in the same way. This guy realized, I get an email from someone, I delete it.
Yeah. It's absolutely. It's someone. I was reading an article. Someone said that a person's inbox is the noisiest thing that there is.
Yeah,
because we get. I mean, I don't subscribe to anything. So, but a lot of people do. I was on a call with you today, and John Lewis sent you an email.
Yeah.
But a person's inbox is so noisy. Why would you go and market to the most noisiest place that a person has?
Well, Adam, just to highlight what you said, Adam, the same thing's happening online that happened years ago offline, which is you can get some attention, you can get some productivity through automated or even cold calling outbound. You can get something. But this is exactly why the retention rate on salespeople has sucked for decades, because those automated things don't scale and you become a prisoner. Your individual sales success or your corporation success, you become a prisoner of an algorithm, a prisoner of bidding for ads and things like that. And what do we always know? If a salesperson or a company can get to the point where their clients are getting them new appointments, where people are hearing about them in the community, LinkedIn's a community, and they're coming toward them, that those businesses last and those businesses scale. But if you take what didn't work well offline and then do it online, social, it's just compounding the problem.
It's actually so much worse because at least when
That's
you
perfect.
I agree. I agree.
So, Lenwood, you did an email marketing course, didn't you? And you set up when you set up as an entrepreneur. That was the first thing you did, was get into email marketing.
Yeah. I can tell about that experience. Absolutely. Yeah. So when
guys, we're attacking this the wrong way though, and we started right when we started today's event. In that we talk about leadership and people walking the walk and actually understanding what needs to be done. We can't blame the salespeople. The salespeople aren't being given the opportunity to learn what we're talking about, other than attending and watching us, and that's not going to do the trick on its own.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, if leadership doesn't understand and appreciate the value, and we all have clients wherein we've taken CEOs and we've taken executive VPs and we've taken directors and we've turned them into rock stars, and that has changed their organization more than anything else could have, because now it bleeds down and now everybody gets on board. And here's the other thing, and this is a tough thing to talk about, but it is what it is. And Mike, you said a little bit about it earlier, and that is not everybody's going to get on board.
Right.
And if they don't get on board, they need to look for a different shift.
And having the data to show that they're not on board really helps.
You've got to be able to measure. And that's the thing about digital and social. You can measure everything.
You can measure everything.
Yeah, it's not anecdotal.
What Tim was talking about before is that when I set up as an entrepreneur, I wasn't really sure which way to go. So I had really two tracks happening at the same time. One, I was trying to build an email list, and on the other side was the social selling. I didn't know what to do. So I started first working the email list, and it was really, really challenging to get people to sign up to my fledgling email list, and things went nowhere fast. I had no traction over an extended period of time. I then turned and started really working the social selling. I took the DLA Ignite program, and it transformed everything about what I was doing. I started getting traction, growing the number of people who were in my audience, building a community, and getting inbound. And that, I mean, I don't think I got a single inbound anything with my
Did anyone ever ring up and say you didn't send the email this week?
No.
I got a question for you, Adam, from Chris.
Yeah. So this is great. At the top level, what we should all be trying to do is to connect to people, to build a digital bridge to that person, so that they're within the orbit of our influence and they get to know us and they get to see our content. And then when our content starts, we hope to resonate with them, or even if we've just been connected for a while and we've not spoken, we've got a reason to reach out to those people to have some sort of dialogue with them. And the dialogue should be based on who they are and being authentic. You know, further to Lenwood and Thomas's and Mike's comments about, this is not about what I can get, this is about what I can give. InMail, shockingly bad idea in my experience. About 6 months ago, I said to Tim, I've written an InMail script so let me just rewind. We have to test everything we do. For us to say, you can't do this, it doesn't work, we can only make that assertion if we've tested it, and we've tested it to within a nanometer of its life. So I said to Tim, I've written a really good InMail script. What do you reckon to this? And he said, what are you doing? And I said, no, hear me out. I tell people that it's rubbish. We know that when we last tested it, it's garbage, it doesn't work. So we need to send an email. So we had a few backwards and forwards. I think we should rework this. I think we should do this. Anyway, we've got fantastic InMail script. Fantastic. So I said to Tim, I'm going to target this 100 people. They'd be ideal customers for us, because actually if I'm testing it, I might as well get something out if it's successful. So I sent an email to 100 customers, absolutely perfect size companies, perfect industries, perfect case studies that we could reference for those people, absolutely, we would be a perfect fit for them. 100 emails, how many responses? Yeah, you got it. 0 responses.
How many deletes?
But you had a great profile.
So I had
everything.
Adam and I went for a meeting with a very, very large corporate IT company, very large corporate IT company, and we had a meeting with the country manager, and I went in there with my book, and I got the marketing manager in, and they said social selling, we're doing that already, and she pushed the book back across the desk. So I said, so how's it going? And she said, yeah, it's going really well. It's going amazing. I said, well, that's fantastic. If it's going really amazing, we're always interested to see hearing about amazing social selling case studies. So tell us what we're doing. And she said, well, what we're doing is that we're sending brochures via email to our prospects. I said, oh, that's interesting. So I turned to the country manager and I said, so when you get an email, what do you do? He said, I just delete them. I said to the marketing manager, when you get an email, what do you do? She went, I just delete them. And she looked at the country manager. So I said, so how's the social selling program going? She said, it's shit. I said, well, yeah, because you're sending brochures on, it's like it's cold calling on social media. I mean,
yeah, Thomas had a great point. Leadership, like you can lead up or down on this. I agree with the guitar, by the way. You should try that, Adam. You should compose an original
thanks,
song.
Chris. That's a good way of losing rather than winning customers, I feel.
Yeah. But, when you look at it, it's like, let's take an accounting firm, just for example, because that's the guys I like to target. They didn't build their firm through email marketing and cold calling because they hate sales, right? They built their firm through community involvement, through referrals, and doing really, really good work, right? Through their reputation. And the leadership knows this. Like if you're a partner in an accounting firm, if you're an owner in an accounting firm, you know what worked to get you to where you are. That is the essence of how you get to where you want to be online. And you have to be there because now that conversation's on social.
So this is a really good point. And sorry, LinkedIn user, I don't know who your name is. In 2010, the number of touch points was about 7 to get a person's attention. Right. And that's probably true. So the fact is, a matter, nobody cares who you are, what your company is, and what your product is. So now it's about 20 or 30, maybe. But the problem is the noise. But the thing is, none of us should be generating noise. All of us, actually, in the world of social, we should know that we're better than that. We're better than the people that you scroll through. One of our clients, the CEO, said that 90% of what was posted on LinkedIn was rubbish. He actually said something a bit worse than that, but it's a family show, so I'm not going to use that word. But the fact of the matter is that we're better than that. And we should be posting. We're the people that should be posting stuff that is engaging, that is educational, that people actually want to read. So that's
Tim. That and therein lies the difference, right? So that individual who is nameless, at least at this point, the definition of a touch point is what's the question. So when they're engaging and you've got that's a touch point. When people get garbage, they delete it. That is not a touch point.
And I think you're right, Thomas, in terms of touch points are traditional from I'm going to basically I need to ring you 6 times before you answer the phone.
Well, how many people
the transformation is if you are positioning yourself in social as a human being, what you'll find is that people will walk towards you and actually say, can I have a meeting with you? I get inbound every single day. I get a piece of inbound. And I know lots of you here get inbound every single day. And that's the difference between selling what you used to do, which is where you have to basically keep telling people to buy, and people actually walking towards you and saying, what you're saying is really interesting. Can I buy from you?
Tim, on social, I think we should really be aware of how we're touching other people. Like, are you doing it appropriately or inappropriately? And when I get these emails and these cold calls, it's kind of little inappropriate. And that's
what happens with any outbound push marketing now is that nobody listens. So what happens is it's a whole $1 billion industry in manipulation. So you've had this email that says the title will be something like "Are you joining the call now?" And you go and look, and basically it's someone pitching to you because they've been on a course to tell you that if you write a manipulative title, people will actually read your emails because they're measuring the open rate. The point being is that you don't build relationships and you don't make sales on manipulation.
Well,
The same with the cold call. I don't take cold calls anymore.
Yeah.
Everything goes through to voicemail. But if I did, that the person will have a spreadsheet and they'll be working their way through these questions. And the answer should be at the bottom, yes, I will buy. And people always know that. And the only way that these things work now is through manipulation. And all that does is it basically is killing those processes off, thankfully.
Hey, Tim, I got a question for Adam.
Well, hold on. Just let me quickly say this because this is pertinent. Tim, you said you mentioned a moment ago about you get inbound every single day. As you said those exact words, you'll never guess what just happened to me.
A piece of inbound popped in.
It did, amazingly. Sorry, Mike.
Well, I was just thinking that this traditional push marketing has more in line with gambling via marketing.
It's spinning a roulette wheel, isn't it?
Selling.
Yeah.
But getting back to that comment made by the individual that asking the question on the touch points, that's the noise. So I just want to make the point to that person that what we do stands out from all the noise because we're actually offering value and we're actually listening and we're actually human beings and we're actually there offering information. We're not asking for anything. Right? And in that way, we stand out like crazy. So if you want to be part of the noise and then complain thereof, your choice. If you want to do it properly and actually engage with people, those are the touch points that you should be measuring.
So we've got
entertainment.
8 minutes left. Any funny stories that's happened this week? Anything that you've seen on social? Mike?
So I had a friend of mine push back on how we do connections and requests and things like that. And they're like, I don't like connection requests. I said, okay, well, how'd you build your business? Well, I went to the Chamber of Commerce and met people. I went, explain to me how it's different. And he just stared at me for a minute. And I said nothing at him. I listened. I said nothing and just looked at him for a minute. And he goes, so it's not different. I go, no. And if you're a quality human being that wants to help people, other people need to know you exist. And you don't need to let that first introduction be trying to sell them.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else seen anything funny at all this week?
Often it's not so much funny. It's more like Mike's. There's an irony to it. I had a conversation with one of our clients, and they'd garnered some feedback from people within the organization. And some of the people had said, actually we're a bit uncomfortable with this ask for us to post personal content. Okay, well, we'll in the next phase of us working together, we'll change that. We'll remove some of the emphasis. And I kid you not, within 24 hours, 3 people had published personal posts. Like, here's what I'm doing. Here's me drinking a coffee. Here's me out on a bike ride. It's like, yeah, actually, personal is, and I think this is a big thing, isn't it? That we've all got levels of what we consider to be personal and our inner sanctum of stuff. And here's me on the beach with my wife and kids is personal, but equally here's my view and the happiness that I've got that this client has bought a successful program from us, or that someone has achieved this. And I'm really proud of what they've done. That's also personal. So personal is within your comfort zone, but it still needs to be around you rather than around what you do.
Boom.
Yeah, I think that's really important that It's not about standing naked on LinkedIn. You can still be personal, but you can still be businesslike.
Yeah.
Eric Doyle, who couldn't make it this week, did some. He did a LinkedIn poll, and the question was, what do you really want to see in your LinkedIn feed? Jobs, products and services, a mixture of one and two, or more humanized content? So jobs was 17%, products and services was 7%, a mixture of one and two only was 29%, and more humanized content was 46%.
But Tim, LinkedIn's for business only.
So even though people say LinkedIn is for business only, when you're on a poll, actually people say they want to see more humanized content.
Well, what's even more important to that is the work that we've done, which shows that humanized content gets more engagement every single time. So not only do they say they want it, but they also, what they do is what matters.
Well, they vote with their likes, and I like it.
Yeah, that's telling you.
Data.
And it's a great point here from Nick that you get to, the thing about social media is you're the person that's in charge of that. Yeah. You decide what you'll post, and what Nick said is you are the person to get to draw the line. Thanks, Nick.
Brilliant.
So, you got any more points, Mike, Thomas, Lenwood, Adam?
It all starts with a conversation. Like everything for you, if you're thinking about how do I get started, have a conversation. All of us are on social.
Yeah, you too, Chris.
Yeah, take care, Chris.
Cheers, Chris.
Just reach out and talk to somebody who's not going to pitch you something, but is instead going to listen.
Yeah, I would say, we all do work, or we hope to do work that's meaningful and purposeful. And what you want to do on social media is share yourself and who you are, and show the connection to the work, the purpose behind why you're doing what you're doing. And that will resonate tremendously in the market, because people want to know you, and they definitely want to know why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would just add to that, for all those salespeople out there that are trying to figure out what to do. Don't look to your organization, look to yourself, right? Yeah. And look online and see who's engaging and who's got conversations going and how they're doing that, and emulate that, right? Yeah, you can do all the things that everybody here is talking about, but don't wait for your leaders. You be the leader.
Yes. Yeah, and that's really a good point, Thomas, about as individuals, we can't wait for the people. We need to lead ourselves.
We need to take control. Yeah.
So thank you everybody for tuning in. All the comments, Robert, Chris, Nick, Rob, Matt, everybody that dialed in and gave their comments. Thank you for that. Mike, Adam, Thomas, Lenwood, again, thank you for your insight. And we'll be here next week with a digital download.
Thanks, Tim.
Round of applause.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.